All right, my Dominican people, a special good evening. Welcome on board to yet another very interesting program, I must say. It's always a pleasure to be in you guys' company each and every Saturday from just about that time, the 6 o'clock hour. It is just about 5 minutes past 6 o'clock in Dominica and the rest of our Eastern Caribbean. That is the space in which we live. Those of you further afield, welcome on board as well. All right. All of you present on the live, it's always a pleasure, as I said, to have you. Your duty, your responsibility, as it were, before we make that start in earnest, that it is to share the live information. Don't be selfish, don't be greedy about it. I know you've got a number of contacts in your phone, whatever device you may be listening or watching on now. So please share that information, make someone know that yes, yours truly is live and they too can participate and be part and parcel of what is happening here each and every Saturday from just about that time. 25th of May, basically May is gone. And so it's the 25th of the year 2024. Just before I start in terms of the weather conditions in Dominica for the past month or so, then there have been a lot of heat. As a matter of fact, it is said that we have, I should say, this heat wave going through, and so a number of persons have been subjected to that kind of heat. All right, and so yes, we are in Dominica subjected to that heat wave as well. So it is very, very hot of late. Today though, the rain showed up in some way, shape or form. And so just earlier this afternoon before I started with you guys, and then I had a shower coming down, and yes, it is all good for the plants and the farmers alike. All right, so in terms of just giving us an idea of the weather situation in Dominica. Yeah. All right, Dominicans, those of you who are from Dominica, welcome. Those of you who may be not from Dominica, but I get the feedback that you guys are on each and every time, welcome on board as well. Let me just tone down something here. Let me just make sure I tone down something here before I get a feedback that will be very annoying sometime later. Yes. All of you, welcome. Okay, Dominicans, where are we going this evening? We are going basically to have, as I said, a very interesting program here. This evening, I'm going to play for you a response. Well, sort of a response, yes, or feedback rather, not a response, a feedback from a brother who, yes, from a brother who his nephew had an engagement with me Tuesday of this week. That is brother, let me just make sure I get that thing done. Sorry about that. I just want to make sure that everything is queued up properly and ready to go when I'm ready. Yeah. There was a brother Brian Shillingford of St. Joseph. For those of you who follow my live proceedings other than Saturday, he sat with me right here in my studio and he gave me an account of what he's going through with someone he called his uncle. We well know that person in Dominica by the name of Chris B. And so Chris B provided feedback as to just why that situation is happening within he and his brother, within he and his nephew, sorry, in St. Joseph. He also promised to be on yours truly program on Thursday. And so I prepared for Chris B's appearance here Thursday. But lo and behold, Chris B sent me a correspondence which I just want to play into your hearing here before we move on, so that you guys can know as to exactly what transpired between Chris B and myself in terms of he providing some kind of response to the many allegations that were made against him by his nephew, that is Mr. Brian Shillingford. All right. So what I'm going to play to you now, just to contextualize it, it is Chris B, after his nephew and I had that conversation on Tuesday evening. He called me bright and early on Wednesday morning and promised to be with me in terms of providing some feedback, some rebuttal, whatever it is, on Thursday. But before that Thursday reached, then he provided me this feedback, and let me just punch it into your hearing now. All right.
I get a little advice from some of my advisors, you know, my team, my people, you know. So they call me, you know, I feel here having people overseas. We had a little meeting, and they tell me they think it's not wise to go back on another interview and speak about that. They said that we should let that rest, seeing that it's a good thing that Nari gave me the opportunity to, you know, speak about that a bit. I'm just so sorry that you were the main man, you know, but Nari, we did something yesterday, and I was very anxious to do it to myself and also with you, you know, but I will get with the team and they tell me, let that rest a little bit, because they think, you know, it was said yesterday and you should give it a chance to work out. So what I was saying is, or what we suggest is, let's see what's happening. And if in case anything else happens, I'll get back to you and we can do something. All right. There's also quite a lot of things we can speak about, you know, that we can speak about. So let's see what's happening to that situation. And if anything else is taking place, I will call you and we'll do that. We'll do that, because it will be a good opportunity for me too to come and see what is happening now, you know. So that is the thing I got from it, from my people and myself. So I just decided to call you this afternoon. As you know, this morning I was very much willing to come, but I got some call during time, so I decided to let you know a bit early. Feel free, if you have anything to tell me, to call back, you know, and we can always keep in touch. That's not a problem, and I can also keep you informed of. There's quite a lot of things happening to me in my life also, musically and stuff like that. So, you know, in the future we can do some stuff. All right, brother? Thanks for your patience and your tolerance for having me to speak to you, my friend, you know. And if you have any suggestion or nothing, feel free to get to me. All right? Bless you, my brother. One love all the time. Blessings.
All right, folks, you just heard the voice here of Brother Chris B. Chris B is no stranger to us in Dominica. He is a calypsonian in Dominica, perform regularly in our calypso competitions in Dominica. And that was his feedback that I got from him after he promised to come to speak to yours truly in terms of just a response, or responding to the many allegations that was made against him by his nephew, that is Mr. Brian Shillingford of St. Joseph. Basically, in a nutshell, in terms of their living conditions, you know, they be neighbors, and so whatever goes on between them on a regular basis. What I must tell you though, after the interview on Tuesday evening, and Chris subsequently reaching out to me in terms of he not willing to make it again based on advice from persons, so far so good, I can tell you. In that, a matter of fact, I got an update from Brother Shillingford sometime earlier today in that he just called and he said, Lofty, I need to thank you, because at the end of the day, I was the one who was going to the police before. But since after that interview, a number of calls, a number of engagements, and so lo and behold, an inspector of police showed up at his door today and basically came to see to the situation that he has been reporting a number of times. Crispy himself made a number of reports as well, but it seems as if the engagement this week really brought out the police in a way that should have been much earlier. And so on that note, I want to thank the inspector who turned out and sort of listened to the situation, but more so tried to put some peace between a nephew and an uncle. And so even if it's just that has occurred so far, I want to say to you guys out there as well, thank you for applying the pressure where it needs to be, because the police department, the Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force, they are supposed to be working for and on behalf of the people of Dominica. And it is when situations like these arise, then we need to see them spring into action. And so I heard Mr. what's his name? Mr. Brian Shillingford. He gave the deputy police commissioner, that is Mr. Lincoln Corbett, good praise as well, in that Lincoln Corbett attended to him as a police officer should, and told him in no uncertain terms that he will be looking into that matter. And so I am thinking, I am hoping it is on the strength of that advice or that word from Brother Lincoln Corbett, who is the Deputy Commissioner of Police in Dominica, that at least the inspector or some other police officers, went to deal with that situation, at least to see for themselves what has been transpiring over the number of years that fracas, I call it, have been going on between a nephew and an uncle. All right, folks? So I just thought I'll bring you guys up to date in terms of where things are at with that scenario, in terms of, we being all transparent around here. Also, I just want to piggyback before we move forward. I just want to piggyback as well on the situation, the Warner situation, where this young lady, Kitwani Morgan, came here as well and spoke to yours truly. And by the likes of it, based on word confirmed information coming from the horse's mouth, as it were, she said, Lofty, since after the interview, there has been a tuning down in terms of the rhetoric, in terms of the attitude and everything that goes on with her and her neighbors. And so at the end of the day, that is all we try to do. All I try to do is to put peace where peace needs to be. All right? So far, so good. And so all of you who have contributed and continue to contribute in one way, shape, or form, thank you very, very much indeed. All right? Thank you, folks. So that is it in terms of the opening up of statements here. I chose to start on a much better note that we can all start with this program here. On a more sadder note, no Dominicans, I want to pay some attention to now to the passing of our brother, that is Dr. Clayton Shillingford. Clayton Shillingford, in my mind, was a stalwart in Dominica as it pertains to things of Dominica. His people in Dominica, really and truly, he will be missed by his wife, family, friends, loved ones. Dominica, on a whole, will miss Clayton Shillingford. Up in age, 88 years of age, but he's still contributing in his twilight of years. And so we will surely and truly miss Dr. Clayton Shillingford for his contribution that he made to us in Dominica when he was on this side of life. So Doc, that transition that you made, it is a transition all of us have to go through. But the work that you started, that is where we want to continue. And so I know by we continuing in that stead, wherever you are and you're looking down, you will be a much, much happier camper, as it were. The last and true engagement that I had with Brother Clayton Shillingford was all the way back in 2018, when most of you, if not all of you, will remember the Concerned Citizen movement, which I was heading then, had this massive protest action, free and fair elections in Dominica at Castle Street, on the intersection of Castle Street, right there just below Macmillan's gas station, right there below Domlek area there. And that, to me, that time, it really stands out as I speak to you, where Dr. Clayton Shillingford, I engaged him to be the featured speaker at that forum, at that protest action, and without much hesitation. All he wanted was the order of things in terms of the agenda, and he fell in line. And he gave a very, very good account of himself that day in terms of he bringing out what we wanted to see as the featured speaker on that day. So the 15th of December 2018 will always resonate in my mind as I continue to remember, not mourn, but remember the life and times of Brother Dr. Clayton Shillingford. This man was a true patriot, and so no matter whatever you ask him to do, once it was to the betterment of his country, then yes, he would always put up his hand. And so that is in a way and more ways that I would urge us to remember the memory, the legacy and times of Dr. Clayton Shillingford, who contributed immensely to the development of Dominica and the Dominicans. All right. For those of you who have been following me as well, I think about 6 to 8 months ago, I tried to get him live right here to speak to us. A matter of fact, before the program, I spoke to him, and I told him if I can. I asked him rather if I can give him a call, but he said yes, Lofty, go ahead, give me a call. But when I tried getting him live on the program, I couldn't, and so that was an opportunity missed. But for sure, his sterling contribution we will all remember in one way, shape, or form. All right, he was alien. And so when you reach those age, when you pass 70, that magic number, that 70, as a brother of mine would normally say, anything past that magic number you're on the grace time. And so it is all up to the good Lord above to add years to that 70, all as a result of his grace on your life. All right, so he has made that transition, and may he live a very long time in our hearts, prayers and thoughts. Dr. Clayton Shillingford, right on, my brother. You are the front, we are the back. All right, but for sure we will and truly remember you. Gone, but will not be forgotten, for real. I can truly say he was a real soldier, a real patriot of Dominica. Indeed he was. Indeed he was. And the work that he started, yes, the work that he started, that is what I know he would want us to continue. And so that is what I'm urging all of us now, for the betterment of our country. That is one way we can make him smile, no matter where he is at this time. All right, thank you guys very, very much indeed. Let me just go back to where I started. The police in Dominica, some of these police officers, in my estimation, they are basically drawing a salary because they have a job, which is all part of the package as well. But I took note that Brother Brian Shillingford said a number of times on that live engagement with me last Tuesday that he went to the police in terms of trying to find some kind of recourse trying to find some kind of recourse. And the police basically, in his estimation, they did not know what they're about in terms of knowing their work as it pertains to law. And it is one thing for an ordinary person not to be acquainted with law, but it is a totally different kettle of fish when a police officer or police officers are not too acquainted with their work, which is supposed to be business of law, and then you get that kind of hiccup, unnecessary hiccup, when complaints are made to them. Having said that though, let me, in preparation for tonight's program, let me just go to a section here and read something here for us. So what the brother was complaining about, these fires and smoke and burnings and whatever, the police basically shrugged him off and told him in a nutshell they couldn't do anything for him. But right there, it is establishing law that what he was reporting is and will be against the law. And so I'm reading now from the Small Charges Act, chapter 10, section 39. It says, and I read, any person who in any place carelessly carries or uses any fire is liable to a fine of $250 or to imprisonment of 1 month. Again, let me read that for you guys. Under the Small Charges Act in Dominica, so that is law, it says here, any person who in any place carelessly, that is, carries or uses any fire, and you know what comes with fire, smoke and debris and your lungs under pressure, whatever it is liable to a fine of $250 or to 1 month imprisonment if convicted. So folks, right here we have something to work with as law. So this willy-nilly burning of fires in neighborhoods, that's not supposed to be as per law. It is not me saying that. Go under the Small Charges Act. This is enshrined in Dominica's law, and you will see it, you'll read it for yourself. And so when a police officers will come and tell somebody like Brian Shillingford, they can't do anything about his neighbor, more so his uncle, he said, was being a nuisance, as it were. Just this constant burning and burning and burning of whatever it is, causing Brian Shillingford, and other people in the neighborhood to be affected negatively, that is. Right there, this brother, or whoever it is, should be pulled up and can be charged in a court of law. Once found guilty, $250 EC dollars, which to me is small enough for the damage that can be caused, but at the end of the day, unless it is revised, that is the law. Or, in default, 1 month imprisonment. So I went and I researched it so I could bring it to you guys. There's also in Dominica what some of the police, especially in Dominica, pay very little attention to. It's the bombardment of loud, excessive, loud music that emanates from vehicles, from homes, from boomboxes, from wherever it is, in a non-prescribed or uncontrolled manner. That too is part of law in Dominica and can be charged. Charges can be laid for that as well. So if you're in a neighborhood, especially like some of us do, and your music that you're supposed to be playing in your home, on your property, is disturbing your neighbor can pick you up to that legally and you can be dealt with as per the law. There are times and places for this kind of excessive music to go on in controlled environments. So don't expect to go in a carnival setup, or you go in a disco or nightclub or wherever it is, and for you to be complaining about that kind of a no, because you placed yourself in that controlled environment or that permissible environment, and you will be subjected to that. But on an ordinary day, like today, you're in your house, you're in your home, the comfort of your home, your neighbor should not be playing a music so loud and so long that it is causing you now to be disturbed in your home, which is supposed to be your comfort, your haven. And you go to the law for redress, and some of these police officers tell you they can't do nothing about it. There is what you call a noise abatement act in Dominica. And so it is on these little things that seems to be nothing, or seems to be trivial matters that go on a daily basis and can either contribute to the breakdown of the commune that's supposed to be among people, especially in a community, or it can bring a community much tighter, much neater. A lot of times in Dominica, people just burn stuff excessively. In a neighborhood in particular, they don't know if you have a child in the house, if you have an elderly in the house, you yourself, if they don't know if you are allergic to whatever it is, you're asthmatic, they just do their stuff. And they tell you straight up, they're cleaning their place, and you can't do anything about it. Some people just play music to the top, very top, disturbing people in their homes, in the comfort of their homes. And when you ask them about it, when you bring that to attention, it is like fire and brimstone. Some of our bus drivers or public transportation system in Dominica, when you go on these buses, the kind of a vibe you hear coming through, this amplified sound system in these buses in particular, it is pathetic. Someone should not be religiously paying you a fare from point A to point B and be subjected to that kind of music that you would want to listen to. No. The music does be so loud sometimes in these public transportation buses that the passengers say, I'm going down there, stopping there, and the bus drivers continue going because the music is just too loud. And added to that, we know the vulgarity these days that comes with it. So I'm not even going there tonight. You have some private vehicles as well, owners who just go all out. It's like as if their brain cells are out of their head, their skulls. They have these amplified sounds in their vehicle, and they park these vehicles anywhere, everywhere, drink their rum, talking to people, and just have this thing just going as if, well, it's like, it's nothing. Disturbing an entire neighborhood sometimes with excessive loud music coming from private owned vehicles. I must say, sometimes I must admit, if you tell or if you request some of them, tone it down, they will oblige. But the majority of times, the aggression, the arrogance that goes with it, when you ask these people just to tone down their music, it is like as if you don't have a right to live in your country comfortably. And so Dominicans, we have a very long way to go. There are laws on our books, but it's the implementation of these laws now that matter. And there's this very selfish attitude that has engulfed Dominicans of late. Care very little for neighbor, care very little for someone else. And you hear that arrogance, you see that level of selfishness in more ways than one, in speech and in action. Some persons are renting people properties. And because they're paying $1 at the month, some of them they've been paying on time, adding salt to a salty situation. They just go all berserk with their noise, disturbing their neighbor, disturbing the person living up, disturbing the person living down. And I can tell you straight up, even right here in Cochrane community where I live, in the year 2000 when I built here, this place you could come any time of the day and take a rest, undisturbed. And so there was like a little haven before. But with the advent, and you know I'm a very straight shooter, people, I say it as it is. With the advent now of some Dominicans getting homes or housing accommodation from the government of the day, and they don't pay a cent for it, the place has basically turned upside down. Because some of these people come from all over. All over. And when some of these people come in your neighborhood, they don't respect the neighborhood in no way, shape, or form. Wherever they come with their baggage, they come with their baggage to your neighborhood, to your community. And I say it without reservation. And I am experiencing it as we speak, so I can speak about it with a level of authority. You see, he who feels it knows it. You know the amount of complaints that I've been getting in secret, in silence, with some people living in these quote-unquote government-given apartments. Lofty, I cannot sleep. Lofty this, lofty that. My neighbor is like, if you are living in an apartment, you down the person up or vice versa, at least just try to be considerate. Just try to be considerate. And so that is why I said, that has gone out through the window. And Dominicans don't care for Dominicans anymore like it used to be before. And that is what is on display in Dominic as we speak. And so I just urge us, let us be a kinder society. That can augur well, only augur well, and can help us go a much longer way in terms of living together. I saw a note passing the screen a while ago about the bikers and their excessive loud noise as well. That too is another problem in the country. Some of these young men in particular on their bikes, when you see they reaching a place, it is like as if, well, the place must be turned upside down. With their smoke and then from their mufflers and their noise. Some of them go even further by taking off the silencers that's supposed to be lessening the noise emission from these engines on their bikes. They cut it out. They remove it. And they go up and down the neighborhood with these things as if, well, they are possessed people. And you try to talk to them. You try to tell them something. And sometimes what they don't tell you is what they forget. And I'm just saying, it cannot be right. So while some of us are busy talking about big things, there are some little things that we're supposed to be attending to make our lives better in this country. And it is just sad, but that is how I can say it. I cannot say it any better. I can't say it any better. Dominica is not the Dominica we knew before. I know everything will change. Everything changes a must, as they say. Change is always evolving. I know that. But to me, even with change, there are certain basic etiquettes that needs to remain, or the principles thereof. Trust me. So I just thought I would start us off on that sort of more human side, where we should be in Dominica, especially people around us. And some of us, when our children grow up to be what we don't want them to be, we turn around and we wonder and we blame everybody else as to our badly brought up children. But it starts with us. It starts with you. It starts with me. Just a very simple experiment you can run. I'll give you 2 examples. Very simple. No rocket science in there. If you are a driver of a vehicle, right, like I am, and I notice that on a daily basis, you see someone, the elderly, the young, not so young, whoever it is, wants to cross the road, you stop. As it should be, you stop. You let them pass. You give them a nod. 90% of the times, these people will not even acknowledge you and say, thank you very much. Nothing. And I see that on a daily basis. I experience that on a daily basis. Young as well as the elderly. So if a little thing like that, we are not in tune to say a thank you, where do we expect to go now as a country? So you give a young lady, a young man, a child, even the elderly, the nod to go ahead, and they just pass by. 90% of the times. As a matter of fact, when some people say thank you or give me that signal or whatever, I watch them twice, because I want to see who is it, so at least if needs be I can acknowledge them in the future. That's how it is. You go into a business place, the next example I'm about to give, you say good afternoon, good morning, good night, whatever it is, and come back and tell me how many people that will respond to that greeting of yours. Basic, simple stuff. And when our children come home, we want to turn them upside down for not saying good morning and good night to us. But we ourselves, we are not practicing what we want from our children. And so children grow with what they know. That's the bottom line. So when some of our children grow up to be these kind of mal cassé, badly brought up, for those of you who cannot understand the Patois dialect, that's what it means. You now have to look at yourself. Go in the mirror and look at yourself. Don't blame the child. Don't blame anybody else. Because it starts with you, it ends with you. That's it. That's it. Dominicans, there is an event. It is 7 o'clock. There is an event happening in Antigua and Barbuda from tomorrow in earnesty, where the small island developing states, they call them the SIDS, SIDS. They're having this conference, meeting, whatever it is, with all the small island developing states. Dominica is no different of that state. And so I'm going to try to make contact now with a sister, a journalist in Antigua, no stranger to us, Shumin Bik, and she's going to bring us up to date as to what is to come, the event that is supposed to unfold in Antigua. From tomorrow, I'm being told, but by Monday it will really unfold, where a number of people are making their way, disembarking on Antigua soil, where a number of high-level officials will be meeting and discussing matters as it relates to the matters of small states in terms of their development. All right, so Dominicans, just give me a little 2 minutes break there. Let me try and make contact with the young lady, the journalist in Antigua, and then we will continue on our conversation right here. All right, let me just see if I can make that contact, and we'll be back in just a bit. All right. All right, once I get that signal from her that she's ready, then I'll be joining her for that conversation. All right, so once I get that indication from her, then we will be moving across to make that all important call to Shumin Bik from Dominica, but doing a very good job in Antigua as a journalist. So she'll bring us up to date with what is to come, the meeting of some officials of the developing states in our jurisdiction. All right, Dominicans, later on, I'm going to, after we are finished with Ms. Bik, I'm going to have a discussion with us as it pertains to, that is on everybody's mind, the cost of living in Dominica. Yeah? The cost of living in Dominica. The cost of living in Dominica. Sorry about that. The cost of living in Dominica. A lot of persons have been speaking about it, and so I choose to bring it out to us in a very simplistic way tonight. And so I think we can get into it now. Once I get that signal from Shumin, then I'll cut it out and come back to us. All right, so let me just see if I can pull up something here on that computer to start that conversation with us. The cost of living in Dominica. All right, or should I say what it costs to live in Dominica? That will drive home the point much better. Let me see if I can pull that up. Yeah. Okay, I haven't gotten that signals yet, so as soon as I get that signals, I told you guys, we will be bringing that information across. All right. Where am I looking now? Just give me 2 minutes, folks. Let me just pull up something here to start a brand new conversation with us. The cost living in our country. That has been on everybody's mind for some time. Yes, yeah. Okay, let me pan the camera on this here so I can show you guys the conversation we are going to get into, right? Let me just pan the camera on that PC right here now. Right here. Okay, anybody know what is that? Well, it speaks for itself. It speaks for itself. That, people, it is a tin of Brunswick sardine in Dominica, and I chose a very simple item like a tin of sardine to drive home that point. So right here is a tin of Brunswick sardine. Anybody can give me an idea of what that tin of sardine used to be like in Dominica before? Any idea? I'm waiting for your feedback. I'm going on to my live feed now. Anybody can give me an idea of how much you guys used to pay for that tin of sardine or tin of sardine of that nature in Dominica before? I'm on my live feed now, so I'm waiting for your suggestions. Okay, James Stephen, Arlene Pierce says $2.75. So Arlene, that is what you used to pay sometime back, I guess, right? $1.40. That is Nathalie Commodore, Jude, Malio Street $2.50. My friend Lionel Litham, Nadia Litham, $3.50. Sunshine G. Lloyd, $5. Usually now it is $4.85. Pat Cobbett says it's a tin of tuna. Yes, it is a tin of tuna. Nathalie Commodore said I think it was $1.19 or so. All right, but folks, okay, thanks very much for responding so far. So folks, that's I chose to bring at least a tin of sardine, a tin of tuna, sorry. I keep saying sardine. A tin of tuna, it's Brunswick tuna, to drive home a point, right, about the cost of living in Dominica. A very basic item like that. I remember, yours truly remember, buying a tin of sardine in my Dominica for $2.05. That's how far I can go back. $2.05. I cannot go back further. I know it was cheaper before, but I can't go back further. So brothers like Tad and whoever is on the live now, Tad, tell me how much you used to pay for that when we were growing up. I remember paying for it at least $2.05. Okay? Now, a tin of tuna, people, a tin of sardine, these kind of commodities, they are called, or they are put in the bracket of basic supplies. So you have things like sardine, tuna, rice, flour, milk, eggs, cheese, meat, toilet paper. These things are we use those things every day in our kitchens, in our homes. And folks, if these things raise to a certain level in price, then the poor man will not be able to not live but survive in this country. So gone are the days when these things like this tuna, sardines and back and necks and whatever it is were considered to be smoked herring and others were considered to be poor people's food. So back then there was this categorization. You buy a certain set of foods, you will categorize one way. But I must tell you today, people, that has gone out of the window. And it is getting much more difficult for people to live in this country because of the prices now of these basic food items. And I didn't bring a packet of shrimps here for you. Eh? I didn't bring a packet of crayfish here for you. When I was buying that, I saw a tin of crab meat. I didn't bring that because these, in my mind, they are not the basics. They don't fall in the category of basic food supplies. So when you talk about flour, rice, bread, toilet paper, toothpaste, the basics. And we compare the prices now of these things today, then that is a conversation I want us to have. Because that is a conversation that is happening on the ground. Because I'm on the ground and I'm feeling it on the ground. Now, what I will do sometime next week or subsequent program, that same, or well, not same, it can be the same, a similar tin of tuna like that, I will compare the prices in our region. I'm not even going outside of our region. I'll be comparing it in our region, our regional space, so that we can see what we are facing in Dominica as it pertains to food prices. So in a subsequent program, we'll go that course. But for now, we're just speaking of what it is in Dominica. Now, see this sardine there, people? You see this tuna? Let me show you something here. No, not this one. Pardon, this one. I hope you guys are seeing what I'm saying, right? Now, I didn't mean, it's not my intention, people, to crucify or put in any bad light any supermarket, any store, any shop, anybody in Dominica. So what I did, I blocked out the name of that supermarket that I bought that tin of tuna for the purpose of that exercise this week. Because I didn't want to come and tell you for you to tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. That is what the price it is for the tin of tuna that I showed you a while ago. Okay? It cost me $5.37 for that tin of tuna. Now, where I bought that tuna, I did not go in a little small shop in a village. I did not go in a quote-unquote high-end supermarket. I did not go there. I went in a supermarket to purchase that tin of tuna because of persons in Dominica saying that that supermarket or supermarkets like that, they are reasonable in terms of making groceries or shopping. Now, that tin of tuna you saw there at $5.37, If, for example, that leaves that shop, that supermarket, and it ends up now in a shop in Dailies, I can guarantee you at least $2.50. Just the movement from Roseau to Dailies, or Roseau to Coliho, or Roseau to Cochrane, or Roseau to wherever it is, will incur at least $2 on that, or $2.50, or sometimes even $3. Just the movement of it. And when we in Dominica, we are saying things are on the pricey side, at least here is proof where the pudding is concerned. And I wonder how people can end up living or making it in this country. I really wonder sometimes. Some of these shops, especially in the local village, these people sell these commodities at some kind of exorbitant prices. I'm telling you. Some of these shopkeepers, I know everybody have to make a profit, so if I talk to a shopkeeper now, they will justify or can justify why they put in whatever it is in terms of increase on the prices that they bought it. But at the end of the day, the people of Dominica, these are the people that are suffering. And so imagine now a family of, let's say, a modest family of 4, 2 children, wife and husband. One tin of sardine that I showed you there for $5.37 in town cannot, I repeat, it cannot share satisfactorily for 4 people. We're talking about 2 of those. So just for the relish, for the bread, or for whatever it is, you're talking about $10 easy and change. Just for the relish, just for the tuna. We're not talking about anything added to that tuna as yet. Now, take that and multiply that now, or envisage that now, and upload that in your memory box now. Upload that, try and upload that, people, to try and upload that to at least spread it across a month. Try to envisage that now. So just for eating, now that is a very simplest, a very simple example I'm giving here so that we can understand what it is. So just for eating, the kind of cost that goes into trying to live in Dominica, trying to survive in Dominica by eating. We ain't talking entertainment. We ain't talking clothes. We ain't talking vehicle. We ain't talking none of the above. Just to eat. And you must eat in order to survive. We must eat in order to survive. Someone asked the question a while ago, why does the price go up when it reaches the villages? Well, I'm not a shopkeeper, but just going as I know it in Dominica, I guess the people have to pay for their time, their transportation, their whatever it is. And obviously, it's a shop, you have to make a markup. But I'm just saying, Some of these markups are much too much. Much too much. Already it is much too much from the quote-unquote wholesale end or the reasonable end, where some people think it is reasonable. And it's not anybody and everybody that can come down to shop. The people who are struggling, they cannot even think of coming down to shop. So imagine now these people who are in the majority, they have to be subjected to that kind of price in their community because of their lack. And so in that department, people, we have a lot of work to do in Dominica. A lot of work. So when a tin of tuna will cost you or cost me $5.37, the government picks up what I'm saying there, VAT 70 cents on a tin of tuna. So basically, what that bill says, what it represents, that the government picks up at least pretty close to $1 when you buy a tin of tuna. So imagine the kind of money the government picks up on VAT, on I must say, basic food items. And I keep making the point, and I will drive home that point, people. There needs be this VAT removal on basic food items in Dominica. We cannot continue to sustain that. If you want to go and get your shrimps and your crab meat and your whatever, your luxury, then obviously there should be a cost for that kind of a lifestyle. But it cannot be that on basic food items, we the Dominica people have to be subjected to that kind of exorbitant way of living in terms of the pricing of these commodities. And so apart from electoral reform that we have been ponging, which to me suits the politician more than anybody. This, what I'm showing you there now, and more, it is what some of us need to attend to. It is the basic commodities of life in Dominica. And I'm not even putting now our salary is nowhere close in terms of our salary is nowhere close in terms of moving up. So as soon as these things there go up, then your salary goes up. So you have, these things are going up, your salary remains the same. On the same salary. So imagine you getting $1,000 3 years back. It is still $1,000 today. And that tin of sardine or tin of tuna that you buy in 2 years back, it was $3.50. $3. Today it is $5 and change. And your money, your salary, your remuneration, it is not compensating for that level of inflation. Then, what are we supposed to do in this country? And so Dominicans, they say he or she who is in the kitchen feels the heat. Everything in Dominica has gone up. And I'm speaking now, let's keep it to grocery wise. Let's keep it to eating. Let's keep it to just trying to survive. If you don't have enough money in Dominica, you cannot buy a roll of toilet paper to wipe when you do number 1 or number 2, whatever it is. Toilet paper. We importing toilet paper every day. There was this brother, Severin Mackenzie, who tried a business to come up with a toilet paper factory in Dominica, so at least our cost for at least that will be much less. They shut it down to the ground. And when I say they, the government of the day shut it down to the ground and their affiliates. And all these big supermarkets now are bringing in toilet paper, a basic thing like toilet paper. And when you go there, you have to spend for toilet paper. And I'm keeping it very, very simple. A basic thing like women and their sanitary pads. Women have to spend for that. Every month, that is like a recurring decimal in terms of cost. And every day, sanitary pads, the price is going up in this country. Milk is no longer milk in Dominica in terms of price. Sugar, flour, meat, and not luxurious meat, people. And the list goes on and on and on and on. When you go in the market, it's a different ballgame altogether. The market people, basically, it's like they're having a field day. You feel it in your pockets when you go in the market to buy local stuff. Yams, dashing, bananas, whatever it is. Imagine in Dominica now as we speak, people, you get in at least 5 or 6 grains of banana. 5 or 6 grains of banana for $5 EC. Some of these people, they will buy the produce from the farmers in bulk, in big. And the way they chop it down to size and sell it back to you, the last end customer, is like as if they don't want you to see another day. I'm even being told some of these people in the market in particular, and you know when I speak in, I do my research, some of these people in the market, some of them go to the stores, these supermarkets. They buy, for example, things like celery, chive, whatever it is. They buy them at a certain rate, tie up together. And they come back in the market and split that same thing they buy at a rate in 2. And they sell it like the same price that they just finished split in 2 as they bought it in the supermarket. Can that be right? Can that be right, people? Is that right? And that thing is resonating or resonated across the board. So Dominicans, I just decided this evening to give us that as a starting point as it pertains to how difficult it is not to live but to survive in this country. And I'm telling you, on that trajectory we're on, the crime rate is bound to go up. I'm telling you, the crime rate is bound to go up. Because when people feel so hard pressed to even survive, they're in survival mode, then obviously they have to do whatever they have to do. And it comes back now to we as a community, as a country, that will be left with the shorter end of the stick in terms of crimes, violence, and every negative thing that will affect us. And I know some of you are saying, you know, the government. Yes, the government have its parts to play, And I can tell you straight up, they have not been playing a part in terms of trying to alleviate the lower end people in terms of their living conditions. But some of us too, we are adding to our turmoil. We are adding to our mess by being so selfish, by being so greedy with our brother man and sister in our communities. There's a young lady on the live there as we speak, my friend Line in Lifa. Line is she's a hardworking farmer in the Mount Prosper area. And people like that, I want to big them up, because it is when you experience deeds like that, you have to say it as it is. And she didn't pay me to say that. As a matter of fact, she don't know I'm going to say that. As a matter of fact, that should have been said a long time ago. But as we're in that conversation, I am obliged now to bring it out. I feel convinced to bring it out. This young lady, she works very hard. Her hand is always in the soil, and she produces good stuff. So if any one of you in Dominica, you need whatever it is from the ground, you call that young lady in the Mount Prosper area. She's a hard-working farmer. I made contact with her the other day, and I tell her, my friend, bring some peppers for me, please. At least $20 worth. And I can tell you, the amount of peppers I got from my friend, Liney Litham, she's on the live there, I was pleasantly surprised. Maybe she gave me one or two as a friend. Yes, I understand that. But based on what she gave, even if I took out the one or two, it was much more in my estimation than the $20 worth. And so I am saying, we in Dominica, we can do much better among ourselves. Some of us, we are too greedy. I was going to put an adjective before that, but I know there are some seniors there. I will not want to disrespect them. I just saw Mr. Julius Corbett showed up. Pat Corbett is there as well. The Corbetts are there in their numbers. Some of us are too greedy. And so as a result of our greedy ways, we help perpetuate now that level of poverty that is existing among us. Sunshine J. Lloyd, where is Mount Prosper located? Sunshine, you left Dominica too long, you know, I suspect. You need to come back home. Liney, tell Sunshine J where Mount Prosper is located, please. Yeah? And you can even punch your number here for people to contact you if they need your produce. If they need your service, you provide a service as well. You know? And it's people like that we need to big up. We need to let them go further. And not the ones who are trying to press us every step of the way. And so, Liney, my friend, I want to thank you for contributing to the country in your own small space, because it is your effort, her effort, his effort, our effort coming together that will see us through. And so everybody who are contributing in one way, shape or form to make Dominica or Dominican's life better, whatever it is, I don't have to know your story. I big you up. But there are those who they will do everything and anything to keep that sort of mendicancy behavior going through. Gareth Dr. Vaz, does Miss Litham have a location in town where she sells her produce? Litham, you're right there. Put yourself on the live feed and send your numbers and answer the questions in your name. I know you're there. All right? Or if not, after the live, you can punch your information out there. Super jealousy. Mali, you troublesome, man. Anyway, folks, I want to, it's what, 25 to 8, 25 more minutes. We have another serious matter to touch on before we bring tonight's conversation to a close, all right? But so far, so good. I haven't gotten that feedback from my friend. Oh, sorry. Let me try call her now. She did respond, but I was talking away. Miss Big, how are you?
Very good.
I'm hearing
students are currently
hearing
features of the
I am hearing something in the background.
Yeah, I'm listening to some audio.
Okay, so I thought so. Shaman, nice having you on the program. Good evening to you.
Good evening, how are you?
I'm doing pretty well, feeling better. I'm hearing your voice now. You're doing your good job over there in Antigua as a Dominican, as a journalist. I want to big you up for that in a very, very big way. Thanks for coming on tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right. Let's just get right to it. Charmaine, in terms of is it a conference? Really small island developing states happening in Antigua and Barbuda sometime this weekend or into next week?
When it starts on Monday. It officially begins on Monday. On Monday. It officially begins on Monday. It is the Small Island Developing States 4th conference. And I can tell you it is the biggest conference that Antigua and Barbuda has ever staged in its history, where you will have delegates, hundreds of them, from all over the world, from all walks of life, converging on Antigua between Monday and Thursday for that conference held under the auspices of the United Nations. Doctors, I can tell you that already hundreds of delegates are already here. The airport was a buzz today, and this is expected to continue even tomorrow. I think 4 American airline flights came in chartered full, bringing hundreds of people to the country. Security is at an all-time high at the Visible International Airport in Antigua and Barbuda. Some of them, of course, to provide security for those high delegates who will come. I believe the St. Lucian Prime Minister is chartering a flight tomorrow. He's arriving with his members of cabinet. Also, we have prime ministers from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Dr. Ralph Gonzalez, he's expected to be there as well. Foreign Affairs ministers from Bangladesh, from Curacao, from a lot of other countries. I believe that Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit is expected to arrive in Antigua as well. If not him, perhaps the Foreign Affairs Minister would bring a delegation. But I know that the heads of states of all the OECD countries are expected to arrive in Antigua. So the conference officially begins on Monday. It will end on Thursday. But before the official start, a series of associated events took place, like yesterday. There was a welcome ceremony at the Governor General's house for those already there, like the Caribbean Development Bank and a lot of top-notch officials. The American University of Antigua has provided its newly constructed conference facility to the government of Antigua and Barbuda for hosting the conference. It will hold roughly about 3,000 people, just that facility alone. And Loftus, you should really get an opportunity to see that conference center. It is very, very, I don't know if magnificent is the best word, for want of a better word. It is something to really be proud of. And the Americans built it, and you can expect a good conference in terms of the facility. They have some of the top equipment. The accreditation process was also very smooth. You have reporters and journalists from BBC, from CNN, from Bloomberg, from some of the top media houses around the world. I actually met with a few of them at the American University yesterday when I went to get my accreditation class, and even local journalists that I know, like my friend Alison Kenty, I don't think she practices in Dominica again. I think she's like an independent journalist now, but she's expected to come, and a number of other regional journalists is expected to come to Antigua. So it's a big deal. It's a big deal for Antigua and Barbuda. A lot of the hotels are already filled to capacity, and a lot of the Airbnbs also full to capacity. A lot of rentals are out, and it's a big deal, and it will always have a domino effect. A conference like that is going to have a domino effect on just about everybody is expected to benefit, not the taxi drivers only and the chauffeurs only, but even in the food sector. You find local vendors have been hired to provide food for over 3,000 people. And so Antigua and Barbuda is a buzz right now where the SIDS conference is concerned, Loftus.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So I guess that based on what you're telling me here, Antigua and Barbuda basically will be benefiting tremendously from that, sort of downpouring of visitors, business persons, professionals, government ministers, officials to your shows.
Yes, Loftus, as I said, it's a good opportunity for promoting Antigua and Barbuda. And as I said, it's a good opportunity to test the country's waters as it pertains to its ability to hold such a conference. Because as I told you in the beginning, this is the first time that Antigua will hold such a major conference. Okay, so going forward, the way that Antigua and Barbuda handles this conference would prove its ability to handle such conferences. It would be amazing to see how it all pans out. This has been over a year or maybe even more in planning. They've been planning that for so long, and it's just amazing to see how people can come together from all sectors, from tourism, foreign affairs, environment. Everybody just come together and to make this thing happen. I had an opportunity to see what's happening at the airport today, and I was amazed. It almost looked like Miami. I'm not sure if you have been to Miami and you've seen how busy Miami airport is. It just looks like you were in a foreign country because so many people are arriving in the departure lounge, in the arrival lounge, and it was an amazing thing to see how organized it was. The taxi operators lined up, carrying people to their venues and stuff like that. As I say, right now you cannot get any hotels in Antigua for the next 4 days. Everything is literally booked out. Just imagine having to house 3,000 plus people all at the same time. They had to, of course, encourage people to do the Airbnbs. And we know the Airbnbs is basically your home, but you prepare a special place there so you can house somebody. It is really an amazing thing, Loftus, and I hope that Dominica will get an opportunity to host such an important and such a major event. So who knows? I mean, the next SIDS conference in the next couple of years, I think they hold a SIDS conference every 10 years. The next SIDS conference could actually be in Dominica. You never know.
I know. Would you be able to provide us with an inside scope as to just how Antigua and Barbuda was basically the final, place for that conference? Who determined that, or how that came about?
Well, I think it was Prime Minister Gaston Brown. He had gone to a conference, and I don't remember exactly how it came about. But even though he's a very, I would call him a go-getter, he pushed himself forward. He's always very brave. And I believe he was the one who said, SIDS is going to be hosted by Antigua. I think he made the pitch. And they said, okay, well, because the last SIDS was held in Barbados, right? So I think they're giving every small islands developing state an opportunity to hold the conference. So I believe it was the Prime Minister who bravely said, you know what, Antigua is going to be the place to hold SIDS, and they agreed, and here we are today.
Yeah. Well, I know Gaston Brown, as you said, is a go-getter, so that is no surprise.
He is indeed a go-getter. Sometimes I think he's a little too bold, but he's a prime minister that gets what he wants. literally gets what he wants. And when he put his mind to something, he gets it done. I mean, if you look at the situation with Leah 2020, in the beginning, not many persons were, they were a little iffy about it. And I know some of the regional leaders, like even Mayor Motley from Barbados and his good friend Ralph Gonzalez. I think it was only Roosevelt Skerritt from Dominica. He was the one who was, always by his side when Leah 2020 is concerned. And then at the end of the day, you see everybody rallying around Leah 2020. And Gaston said, hey, if I have to go to Leah 2020 on my own, then I will do it by myself. And in about a week or so, Leah 2020 will take to the skies with 3 jets, and I think one of the aircrafts that they bought from the Caribbean Development Bank, they leased that aircraft. So Leah 2020 is actually about to take to the skies in about a week.
Wow. Well, that's good for you guys over there. In terms of some things that are on the agenda, would you be able to give us an idea of what is on the agenda in terms of the topics to be covered or situations to be covered?
Well, a lot of it has to do with climate change and resilience. I think this is one of the biggest issues affecting the small island states. Climate change, the fact that these big countries are the ones responsible for, everything that's happening, yet still the small island states, they're the ones being affected by it. Yeah. Also, they will have something for SIDS children and youth to voice their perspective on the intersection of social and environmental issues and the impacts. It will also serve as an opportunity for them to present new ideas and solutions and also recommendations for action. The summit will also feature a variety of activities, including practical and engaging masterclasses addressing, key themes outlined by SIDS 4. They will also discuss project formulation, fundraising. It will incorporate capacity building elements in collaboration with partners such as the Alliance of Small Island States, that is OASIS, and several development agencies with basically the goal of identifying tangible actions that SIDS, also the children and the young people, can take to advocate for causes important to them. And I am happy about the inclusion of young people, because many times you go to these conferences, it's always about the adults, it's always about the stakeholders, it's always about the NGOs, it's hardly ever about young people. And I was very pleased and delighted to see, Loftus, that they incorporated something for the young people, that their voices will be heard, they will be part of the formulation of plans, fundraising activities. And so I was very happy when I saw that part of the agenda included young people, the youth, the future of tomorrow. They will also have a special aspect of SIDS for women in business, A lot of times the business will seem to be dominated by men, and so they have something called She Trades. She Trades basically means what it says. She, as in woman, trades, as in business. And that aspect is funded by the Caribbean Development Bank, where, a number of women can have opportunities to get funding through that mechanism provided by the CDB, whether they're doing craft, whether they're doing embroidery, whether they're making sauce, whether they're doing anything that they want to do. They have an opportunity to present a plan to the CDB and get funding for the project once it's approved. So part of SIDS would be that aspect where women can tap into that fund, especially women who may not necessarily have the financial ability. They have the ideas, but not the financial ability. So that is also being provided for them, that they can tap into that resource and, start their business, even if it's a craft industry, like a small business. That is another aspect on the agenda. I think at the end of SIDS, they're supposed to come up with this policy that is expected to chart way forward for small island developing states in terms of climate change emissions. So it has a lot to do with climate change, but they incorporated young people and they incorporated women. And for me, that's a good thing.
Yeah. Well, Sherman, I want to say thank you very much. Any final thoughts from you before we wrap?
Well, doctors, you should be in Antigua covering SIDS. It is a very important event. It's a big deal. And the other thought I was having is that the next SIDS conference, which is expected to be the next 10 years, I would hope that Dominica would be able to tap into that sort of thing. It would be very good for our tourism industry. It would bring some much needed movements and, money into the economy and help a lot of people. So my hope is that, Dominica will be able to hold such a conference because, as I said, I can already see the benefits for Antigua and Barbuda. Yes, it may just be 4 days, but there's a lot of economic activity going on. And again, as I said to you prior, how Antigua and Barbuda handles this conference would test its ability to hold other major conferences such as SIDS 4.
Yeah. Well, I wish I could be there, but unfortunately I got the information very, very late coming out of Antigua. So I'm hoping that you can brief me up, update me as to really and truly what is going on day by day in terms of the information coming out of SIDS and the conference there.
Sure, you can buzz me anytime. I can always provide you with ball by ball information as you require.
Yeah. All right. Well, Sherman, thank you very much. Always a pleasure speaking to you and always making time for me whenever I call you on behalf of the people of Dominica.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you and bye-bye. Take care.
Bye.
All right, folks. Yes, you just heard our journalist, yes, we call our own, Sherman Beek, speaking to yours truly as it pertains to this SIDS conference / summit that is set to go down from Monday to Thursday next week, and will be hosted in Antigua and Barbuda. All right, you heard us say Gaston Brown, basically the Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, and really push for that to happen in his country, and so his wishes came true. And that is all going down come from Monday to Thursday next week, where a number of dignitaries will be speaking on just how their small island country, their small part of the global architecture can benefit from the coming and having discussions, and more so doing some sort of implementation, especially where climate change and other matters are concerned. All right, thank you very much again, Sherman Beek, for bringing us up to date as to this upcoming conference where the small island developing states are concerned. All right, yeah, Dominica, it is already, 5 minutes to 8 o'clock, so really and truly there's a last segment or last session that I really and truly wanted to have with us tonight, but we will have to have that session next week if the good Lord above is willing. But I think we can just touch on it though before we go. So let me just give you an appetizer, as it were, at least one of the hot topic items on the agenda for next week's conversation. And it all springs around, it all surrounds the need for free and fair elections in Dominica. We heard that some of us saw a draft is out in terms of what we Dominicans have been talking about for some time now to make our elections freer and fairer in Dominica and much more transparent. I must add, a number of discussions are so far ongoing as it pertains to, just reading, saturating ourselves with a number of situations, this draft. One of the situations though that I want to bring to your attention here, let me just see if I can pull up that form. Where are you? Let me see if I can pull up that form to bring to your attention an item. When I looked at the draft, just to balance off what I'm going to say here, people, is that just pan this camera here. Just to balance off what I'm going to say here, people, what I notice is that going through the draft, there is no longer the term or the use of the term there's no longer the use of the term national ID cards. All right, there's no longer the use of that term. What has been going through on that draft is the term voter identification. And so at least that is one thing that is plugged in there out of many other situations, many other things in there that at least the persons, I'm looking for a particular form here. Let me see on what number I am here. Yeah, it's all the way in the bottom. Let me just see if I get this so that we can bring this conversation to close in just a bit. We have to go, I think it is, just bear with me people, it's all the way down to the bottom. I think it's page 98 of that 110 page document. I'm looking for a particular form here, form 31. We will go over it in much more detailed manner next time around. Okay, that's form 33. Let me see if I get to form 31. Yeah, okay, this form. Form 41, right? This form here, people. Let me see if I could just now. Okay, this form here, people, it's entitled Application for Confirmation of Registration. Now, let me just be very clear with you guys. What the draft speaks to so far, we have been talking about re-registration. What the draft speaks to is confirmation. Now, we have to understand that lingo in moving forward. The confirmation process is what the draft bill is suggesting to us in Dominica in terms of verifying that who is on the electors list, they are supposed to be there, who are not supposed to be there, then they should be out, okay? So that is what the bill is basically pushing forward, and I'm saying to you guys, discussions are on the way as to whether we should go with the confirmation process as it says here, or a total re-registration. That is still in the pipeline, and it is being discussed as we speak. But this form is a very crucial form among other forms that I want to bring to your attention. In that this form here, it is the form 31, it is called, that the bill is proposing this form be used to be filled out as the form in order to get somebody, or to confirm, as it were, somebody on the list. So basically, in a nutshell, what I'm saying, that form 31, it is called, it is an application, it says here, for confirmation of registration. So if you are already registered and your name is on the list, for example, Loftus Juro, I am on the list, the process that that bill is speaking to, that form is the form that will be used to confirm my name, whether I remain on the list or whether I am off the list. That is the electors list. Okay? So let me just run through that form briefly. It says, to the chief registering officer, my name would be in that dotted line space here in block letters. Of polling district number, whatever is your polling district number, it's plugged in here. You plug it in here. In the constituency of whatever constituency you are voting in. Okay? Hereby apply for confirmation of registration as an elector. It says, it continues by saying the following information is submitted in connection with my application. So that is where the chief elections officer is asking you on that form to plug in that information. City, town, village, right here. Last name, middle name, first name, father's name, date of birth, place of birth, social security, and then it is asking you down here, home telephone number. And it says here, in close and open quotes, for proof of identity. Now that, people, is very critical. It says here, home telephone number, and I would want to think it is your telephone number that they're asking you for in that form, for proof of identity. I hope you guys are already seeing what I'm seeing in terms of the fallacy of that form. It continues. The form is asking you still for your mother's name, your marital status, occupation, work telephone number, nationality. If there is a postbox number attached to you, you can put that here. Any other particulars, and that is a little space they give you for any other particulars, but I guess you can stretch right across here. You did that form. The official, whoever is signing, either the chief or whoever is receiving that information, sign that form here. You did that form here. Sign that form. If you cannot sign, you put an X or your mark or whatever it is on that form. Now, that form, people, it is what the bill is suggesting that in moving forward will be used to confirm people who are already on the register as electors. So I'm just whetting your appetite, because something in my mind is fundamentally wrong about Form 31 as to the way in which, or the manner in which, that bill is proposing that confirmation of an elector is to be done. Next week, we will get back to that form, and I'm hoping by then I will have much more information to provide to you as to why that Form 31, as the prescribed form, as that bill is indicating, will be as it pertains to confirming people who are already on the register. Remember, we have people in Dominica who are on that register. We have people overseas who are on that register as well. Proper identification of people, I think, is key. And in my estimation, just going through that form so far, that form, it doesn't in no way, shape, or form provide anywhere satisfactory enough for someone who is already on the register to be properly identified. And that, to me, it is a big no-no as a starter as it pertains to that form. Okay, people? See you guys next week. We will have much more information of national importance to share with you, but I decided to at least give you a teaser of what we are dealing with in terms of the confirmation process moving forward. All right, Dominicans, thank you very much. See you next week, same time, same place. Remember, tomorrow on the Civic Vibes program, there will be none of that. The Civic Vibes team, some of the people, they are in Atlanta having a jolly good time. So Dominicans, thank you very much. We will see you next week, Saturday, same time from 6 to 8. Let's do this one.